Hello and welcome once again to another quick shot review for Cheap Shot Entertainment. This one is number 283, I believe. Or it could be 286. No, 286, not 283. It's 286 and it is a special. It's 25 years since the release of The Mummy. The one with Brendan Fraser. The one that modelled itself on Indiana Jones. But Brendan Fraser, this was Fraser Mania at its peak. He was in loads of stuff. George of the Jungle. Yeah, just loads of stuff. George of the Jungle is the one that comes to mind. California Man was another one. Like, this is peak Brendan Fraser territory, and he is really, really good, and he's still really, really good. I haven't seen his latest film. I say latest; it's a couple of years old now. The Whale, definitely a play on where he's been and where he is now. But yeah, I couldn't resist going to see in the cinema, because I never went to see it in the cinema. The Mummy. There's no horror here really. I mean, it does have some no gory moments, but probably some scary moments. So if you was gonna think about showing this to your kid, then you definitely need to have a think about the content of it. But otherwise, absolutely brilliant. And the ensemble of characters, the ensemble of actors, actresses, and everything, it just works. It just works so well. And director Stephen Sommers did a fantastic job with this one. It was way before CGI was used for everything. So there was some practical stuff in here. There was some CGI in here, and the CGI looked decent, and it still does for the time. And you can compare that to the CGI rock in the later Mummy series. It just doesn't compare. Now, if you can get like a combination of practical effects and CGI into a film, then that's always a good thing, because some things are better with CGI and much easier, obviously, and some things are definitely better done with practical effects, and you don't see that very often. I think the last one that I saw with actual stunts in it really was The Fall Guy, and that film was great. It was absolutely Brendan Fraser. It was fantastic. So Brendan Fraser plays alongside Rachel Weisz and John Hannah, and he plays Rick O'Connell, the swashbuckling adventurer for this one. And Rachel Weisz plays Evelyn Carnahan, the love interest, of course, and John Hannah plays Jonathan Carnahan, the brother of Evelyn, and Arnold Vosloo plays Imhotep, who is the mummy. Now, it is, like I say, it does have some scary moments in it. So, like I say, if you're going to show this to your child, then, have some parental guidance in there, I suppose. And yeah, basically, it's well worth doing, showing it to the younger generation. Just be careful. But yes, it's great fun. It's in the vein of Indiana Jones more than the Mummy from the Universal Monster series that came later on. With, um, yeah, let's just not talk about that film. It was bad. With Tom Cruise in it. This one is much better. It's a lot of fun. It's very, very funny and it's very charming in the way it does things. Rick O'Connell doesn't take himself too seriously when it comes to these things. He is a soldier who is the last line of defense to an offensive on the city, where it's like the city of the dead sort of thing in Egypt, and it's set in like the very early 1900s, late 1800s, where explorers were going in and exploring the pyramids and stealing gold and the treasure and things like that. Um, But yeah, it is. It's got everything that you want in an adventure movie. It's got, like I say, it's got the adventure, it's got the charm, it's got the action, and it's got a really, really good antagonist here, in Himotep, and the way he becomes the way he is quite dark as well. Because I can only imagine that these things wouldn't have happened very often, but I can also imagine them actually happening back in the day. And I say back in the day, I mean, in ancient Egypt. Um, you know, he brings that supernatural power. And then you've got Benny, who is like the sniveling um, crony who will do anything, join anybody's side to get something out of it, and he does eventually betray Rick, and that is a little dynamic throughout the film as well. Rick is sort of always doing things to Benny to throw him off the scent, and just like even to the point where he's kicking him off his horse. But apparently, the chap who played Benny, when it came to um, the when it came to the camels that they used, and they used real camels in this in this film. Um, the actor that played Benny, they didn't like the, the camels didn't like him, and it's as simple as that. They just did not like him at all, and yeah, Kevin J O'Connor plays Benny, and the camels just did not like him. Also, another interesting fact about this film: there is a scene where Brendan Fraser is in prison, and he does get sentenced to be hung. And yeah, apparently during that scene, he nearly did die from being hung. So, it tells you a lot about safety and things. But yeah, he apparently had to be revived according to Rachel Weisz. So that's that's interesting, isn't it? Um, there would be a couple of other movies as well. Return of the Mummy, and actually, I think there's four, isn't there? There's Return of the Mummy. Um, there's Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and there's also the Scorpion King, which is obviously like a bit of a spin-off. And I think it's the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor where they got the really bad CGI rock, before he was, really big in films. He just had little parts to play. Um, but yeah, to say it is based on a horror story, yeah, it's more family friendly than than a lot of films. And like I say, it does take after. It is the spiritual successor to Indiana Jones, and yeah, it's really, really good. I love this film. I always have loved this film, and I love it even more now I have seen it in the cinema, with all the surround sound and the big screen and everything else, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, released 25 years ago. this month. And yeah, that is that. So we've got plenty more to come from where that came from. We've got Longlegs coming up. We've got Deadpool versus Wolverine coming up as well. And yeah, I will leave you there. Join us next time, film fans, for more Cheap Shot Entertainment Quick Shot Reviews. I've been your host, Luke. You have been the Cheap Shot Nation. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Hiya!